Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of We Speak Through the Mountain by Premee Mohamed. This is a book that comes out June 18th, 2024. It's a sci-fi post-apocalyptic novella from ECW Press. So I received this book from River Street Reads in exchange for a fair review. This is book two. If you saw my review yesterday of the first book, The Annual Migration of Clouds, then you will know this. But if not, there are spoilers for book one in this review, but not for book two. Continuing the story from the first book, We Speak Through the Mountain is a lyrical, contemplative dive into the bands we form in crisis and the lure of protection. So, what is it about? Ugh. Oh my god. Traveling alone through the climate crisis ravaged wilds of Alberta's Rocky Mountains, 19-year-old Reed Graham battles the elements and her lifelong chronic illness to reach the utopia of House University. But life in one of the storied domes, the last remnants of pre-collapse society, isn't what she expected. Reed tries to excel in her classes and make connections with other students, but still grapples with guilt over what happened just before she left her community. And as she learns more about life at House, she begins to realize she can't stand idly by as the people of the dome purposely withhold needed resources from the rest of humanity. When the worst of news comes from back home, Reed must make a choice between herself, her family, and the broken new world. Like the first book, this story follows Reed, but now she's made it to House University. While the previous book was wholly post-apocalyptic, this book focuses on a place that exists in a protective bubble within it. Reed is forced to wrestle with not only her disease, but the new challenge of being considered lesser in a society that's never really known hardship. This book diverges from the first thematically, and that the focus on this book is on disparity. The House students have grown up in the zone with technology and food and security, and don't understand why Reed is concerned with what she sees as hoarding when others out there are suffering. They also have a very much a turn away mentality to problems outside of their own, which Reed also has trouble reconciling given the community she came from is very much, help everybody you can. Reed has to balance her frustrations with this system along with feeling grateful for the opportunity to be part of a place where she doesn't have to worry about, her current meal potentially being her last. In a way, it's critiquing our world today from not only an income disparity perspective, but a colonialist and sustainability view, especially in the vein of climate change. The novella I reviewed last month, Lost Ark Dreaming, carries a similar feeling, so if you have checked that book out, this book kind of has a similar idea to it, in a different way though. They're completely different books, but yeah, similar kind of like argument. The book also touches on loss of knowledge, how we are losing touch with how we do things today, things that should be simple like building a fence. Yet, of course, this does contradict the idea that our goal with technological progress is that we don't need to know these things, that instead of spending days building a fence, for example, we can have a robot do it, and we can thus spend our time on, artistic pursuits. But at the same time, have we lost, in that sense, a sort of critical, practical way of thinking? It's complex, and this book is more of a jumping off point for that argument than a deep dive into it, but I thought that idea was really, really interesting. I do think about that sometimes because I love working with my hands. I love gardening. I think I would do really well on, in a farm situation because I really do like building things and working with my hands, but at the same time, it's a lot of work, and how much time do people who do this have to spend on things that they find more rewarding kind of intellectually or artistically, things like that. I just think it's a really interesting idea. The writing in this book is absolutely lovely, just like the first book, and while Reed does change as a character, she stays true to herself and her characterization. I thought that was really well done. There's also a fantastic part about an elk that exemplifies what it's like to really connect with nature in the sense of recognizing that we as humans really are not as powerful as we think we are, especially those of us who live in cities and rarely or never experience the raw outdoors. The book also references one of my favorite books, Watership Down. My dad read this book to me when I was a kid, and since then I've read it quite a few times. I can't wait to read it to my kids, though my second one would probably be very upset by the amount of bunnies that get hurt in this book. It's not a happy story. It's also an allegory for political systems, so it was a very apt kind of reference. Overall, I very much enjoyed this novella. I loved it. I think I liked the first one. I don't know if I liked the first one more. They kind of feel like a set to me. Like they are one story, and they do tie into each other in very important ways. So I think they're kind of like one thing. But overall, I really liked both of them, and I highly recommend you check these out, especially if you're looking to support a small press or support Canadian literature, and you are more interested in speculative fiction than contemporary stuff. Yeah, these are really, really good. Yeah, so thank you again to the publicist for sending me these. I really, really appreciate it.